A quiet revolution is underway, not of ballots or bullets, but of borders and demographics. It is called the Great Replacement Migration, a plan to dissolve the native peoples of Europe and America, replacing them with populations wholly dependent on the state. This is not by accident, it is by design. And at its core lies an ancient truth, one recognized by Sir William Blackstone. Dependency causes the dependent to conform to the will of the one on whom he depends. Dependency is control, and control is the goal. In the 1920s, Count Richard von Coudenhove-Kalergi proposed a new Europe. A Europe no longer defined by nations, faiths, or inherited peoples, but by a managed population blended from foreign stock. His pan-European movement, funded by bankers such as Max Warburg and supported by leaders like Winston Churchill, sought to weaken the roots of Europe's native peoples by diluting them into a pliable, dependent mass. Across the Atlantic, a similar vision reshaped America, turning citizens into clients of the state, reliant on welfare and benefits. The true machinery of control began in 1933. With the Emergency Banking Act, every citizen's property and labor were pledged against the national debt. The people became surety, their birth certificates transformed into instruments of commerce, their lives treated as estates in trust. Into this system, migrants were funneled by design, promised housing, food, healthcare, and welfare, all provided by the state. The charity was not true charity, it was bondage. But here lies the deeper trap. These new populations, reliant on benefits, have no birthright to common law. Their legal standing is defined only through administrative law, through codes, statutes, and the discretion of officials. By expanding welfare and benefits, governments ensured that these new populations would conform, voting, behaving, and thinking as instructed by their benefactor. Today, the plan is openly named the Great Replacement Migration. The European Union and United Nations promote migration as destiny. In France, 60% of citizens admit they see replacement underway. In Britain, 1/3 of the population believes the same. They are not imagining it. They are witnessing it. Leaders from Brussels to Washington repeat the same script. Borders must remain open, populations must be diversified, and resistance is branded as extremism. Search Burn, the corporate fiction on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Burn, the Corporate Fiction. Hope everyone is having an excellent evening. Tonight, we are going to get into the nature of the beast system, particularly. And we are going to be on YouTube for probably about a half hour or so, 45 minutes, and we're going to Rumble. Give people a chance to, show up and kind of pick up what's going on. And then, man, do I got some cool stuff to show you on Rumble that we could never show you on YouTube. So hopefully you have a Rumble account, and if not, create one and hop on over there. The link is in the description of the video, so should be pretty easy to find it, what's going on over there. All right, so yeah, that video clip that I made today, that short, I was a little skeptical about loading it up to YouTube. Wasn't really sure how YouTube was going to take it, but hey, it's been up and they haven't said anything. So they try to say that's a conspiracy theory, right? Well, I can guarantee you that the people in England and the people in France and the people in Ireland and a lot of people here in the United States, we're all very well aware that that's not a conspiracy theory as we look around us and see, the demographics changing significantly. Yeah, so, this is one of the greatest weapons of the globalists, and I do call them globalists, one, because they propagate the globe, and two, because they want to control the world. One of the greatest weapons of the globalists is to force the native country to, first of all, to force immigration into the country, and then to force the native population to adopt the customs of the immigrants while simultaneously shunning the native customs of the people. So It's to create cultural division because an enemy united is a dangerous enemy. So, like James Madison said when they created the Constitution in the first place, it was to keep basically many people from uniting under a common interest by making this centralized authority so far removed from the people that it would be much harder for people of different, areas with different cultures and different, outlooks and beliefs to unite against that central power. Well, take that to an extreme degree, and that's what they're doing with the immigration right now. So it's called the Kalergi Plan, and originally it was called the Kalergi Plan. Now it's called the Great Migration Replacements. And the UN loves it. They think it's a fantastic idea. So, but we will talk more about that when we go on Rumble, because I don't want to get this channel shot down, because we do a lot of good work here teaching people the law. So it'd be stupid to have it shot down for a topic like that. Anyway, let me say hi to the few of you that are in here already. We've got Theo. Good to see you, man. Jeff and Corbett. Good to see you guys, all jurists. And everybody else watching, good evening. So I wanted to start this off by showing you, I've got a couple videos before we go to Rumble. I've got a couple videos, thanks to you, Corbett, actually. I got Telegram on my desktop so that I could play at least part one of that, the nature of bondage. And then I've got, that guy actually has a pretty good court video, too, of a lady who asserts her standing and her status to challenge jurisdiction, like we were talking about earlier in our meeting, the Jurist Society. But before we even get into any of that, I have a post on X that's quite funny, because you guys will recognize what this fella is saying as being exactly in line with what I have been saying about what the beast system actually is. So this guy's name's Pumpius on X. He says the prophecy is unfolding, Revelation 13 and the XRP ledger. Now, I actually did some research in XRP, and for those of you who don't know about XRP, hey Mojo, good to see you, man. XRP is slated, Ripple, right, which is the platform that backs XRP, is slated to basically be the backbone of the new digital currency, or so they say. There's a lot of rumors going around that is going to be the case. Now, I personally think it is going to be. I think it's a safe investment. And then now that I actually looked into it, I kind of regret investing in it, because I think it is the backbone of the beast system. But the reason that this is going to be the safe bet, if you were, if you say you're an atheist and want to support the system or something, or invest, it's because this is the only blockchain ledger where the ledgers are completely and entirely private. So any other blockchain, a good enough hacker can go through and decode the ledger. However they do that, I'm not going to pretend to be an IT bro, but this is what this article said about it. XRP's ledgers are entirely private, which is going to make it perfect for the institutional investors trading in securities that are generated from farming us as debt slaves. They need it to be private. They need it to be on a ledger that cannot be uncovered as direct proof. This is so they're going to put all the shadiest, low-key financial transactions and securities that they do behind closed doors in the system, these institutional investments, buying, investing in bonds, prison bonds, and tickets, and all the negotiable instruments created by the court, right? All that stuff is is kept under lock and key, because if anybody was to find a transaction ledger of something like that, that'd be direct. I mean, I can prove that they're doing it anyways, because it's how the system's set up. I prove it to you guys all the time. But imagine having the actual financial transactions, the ledgers, to be like, hey, look, they're fucking buying and selling us on the securities market right here. I have the evidence. So that's why XRP is going to be the choice, because all the ledgers are private, and it's going to be the preferred platform for the billionaire institutional. Literally what this article had said. So, all right, let's see here. He says Revelation 13 and the XRP ledger. So let's take a look at it. Is 2,000 years ago, the book of Revelation warned of a system where no one could buy or sell unless you had the mark. Today, that prophecy is an allegory. It's becoming financial architecture. The rails are blockchain. The weapon is identity. That's exactly what I tell you guys all the time. The legal entity identification. We got Crip Rick in the house. Good to see you, man. Peg's Place. Good to see you. Yes, most definitely. Just so you guys know, we're heading over to Rumble in about a half hour, 45 minutes. The link's in the description. I'm just going to go through a few videos and let some people show up over here first. All right, so the weapon is identity, the legal entity identification, also known as the corporate fiction, also known as the straw man. It is the trustee, right? It is this script that they've written for you. And this creature of the law that only exists as an artificial construct of the mind and on paper, right? That this role that they trick you into adopting, your legal entity identification is the weapon. Just like he says, the weapon is the identity, right? But right now, with it being all paper and, you know, social security card, they're starting to make it digital. You could get rid of that identity and reclaim your status, right? Which is what we talk about all the time on here. Reclaim your standing as one of we the people, not a 14th Amendment. But if they're able to integrate this ID, this 14th Amendment trusteeship into you, and they're able to integrate this artificial identity into your biology, then it's game over, because they're going to institute AI governance, which will eliminate due process. You'll have no ability to challenge their jurisdiction. The only hope you ever have when you're brought into one of their inferior courts, being compelled to answer as a trustee for your use or misuse of the property, your only hope is to challenge their jurisdiction. Because if you acquiesce to their equity jurisdiction, the judge is God, and he will do whatever he wants. So at what they call the arraignment, if you're unfamiliar with the process, when they go state your name for the record, that is where you state that you're there by special appearance, which is the only way you can show up to challenge jurisdiction. General appearance is taken as consent. Special appearance, to settle the confusion surrounding the estate. The estate's not under administration, right? I come before the court, having been found to be living, and I'm the sole heir and executor of the res defendant estate, because then you kick the judge out of the position of administrator. He's done. There can't be an executor and an administrator at the same time. They cannot move forward from that point until you state your name. It is absolutely essential that they acquire jurisdiction. Well, if they integrate this legal fiction into your biology, using nanotechnology or whatever they're planning on doing, and then set up AI governance, there will be no challenging jurisdiction, because they're going to have your bank account and everything linked right up to your identity within your biology. So the AI will see you say jaywalk, or will see you say you're speeding in your car, your smart car now, right? Because they're all smart and you're speeding. And then next thing you know, the AI governance penalizes you and says, oh, you were speeding, deduct 100 credits, or whatever the digital currency is, right? Deduct 100 dividend dollars, and then automatic right out of your account. You don't even get to challenge whether or not this administrative regulation applies to you, because it's not a law. It's a regulation of property under administration. All right, let's move on a little bit. We got Ryan McVeigh and Rem. Good to see you. Joyce B showed up. AB Normal. Good to see you. No one. I like that. I like that. My dad's live just got taken down. Oh, shit. So his backup channel got a strike now, huh? Well, see, that be why we're going to Rumble. That there be why we're going to Rumble here in about a half hour, 45 minutes. So if you're just now joining us, the link is in the description. We're going to get over there and we're going to talk about all the things that we can't talk about here on this platform, because I haven't done that for a while, and why not, right? There's a lot of cool stuff I want to show you guys without getting a copyright strike and without getting a community guideline strike and all that dumb shit. We're going to head over to Rumble so that we can, you know what? Let me see if I can invite my dad over. I'm going to text him real quick. Your stream just got taken down, huh? Just got taken down. I'm going to tell him a lot of you guys came over here. Hop over here. Here. A few people came from your stream over here. People came over. And we're going to Rumble. We're Rumble soon. All right. We'll see if he shows up. That sucks. He's got to be careful with that shit, man. He's got a Rumble account for a reason, dude. You know, you got a Rumble account for a reason, Dad. Just get people on the platform on YouTube and then hop over to Rumble. And then you can say whatever the hell you want about them. Yeah, see, I don't even want to say the fucking J word now. They're over here shooting people. All right, moving on. If you're just now tuning in, again, we're going to Rumble in about a half hour, 45 minutes, so we can really talk about what's going on. But until then, I'm going to show you a couple things. So he says Revelation 13, 16 through 17. Oops. Let's see who else. We got Emilios, man. The Vange Lodger. That's pretty cool. Hey, from a minivan at Delaware Gap. Sergeant Frog Dog. Good to see you. Hey, Sergeant Frog Dog, since you're in the chat, I'd like to have you up sometime so you can talk about your experience with your Private Express Trust and your and how you recreated your MCO. If you would be interested in coming up, I'd like to do an interview with you at some point. Yep, Emilios, man, confirmed. That's what my dad got hit for. Joyce B. Yeah, Rumble's definitely safer, Joyce. Yeah. Oh, is he still on Rumble? So they just smoked him off YouTube? Damn. All right. Yep. Catch 22. Got to watch the replay. All right, Kevin. Yeah. And so I'm going to be doing an interview this Wednesday with Crip Rick. And it's going to be on, if I remember correctly, Spotify and stuff like that, right? So there's no censorship there. We'll be able to talk about it. So, all right. He was on it. Is on it. Yeah, no kidding. Yep. So, yes, Corbett, recreate the MCO. Sergeant Frog Dog's on top of it. So, all right. He says Revelation 13, 16 through 17. If they can get this LEI integrated into your system, this legal entity identification, it's game over, dude. That's the New World Order. That's their plan. That's locking you into equity, where the judge is God, barring your access to the divine jurisdiction and to law, right? It will be outside, existing parallel and outside of the natural jurisdiction, which is insane. But it is literally the culmination of, I almost wonder if there isn't like a timeline where that does happen. And, you know, if God just lets it happen, and I'm just spitballing, I can't prove any of this, but I just think about it sometime, you know, with the Mandela and all the weird stuff that's happened. I'm like, well, what if there's a timeline where the people are damned, right? And this thing does go through, and then it's just a material commercial existence void of any kind of divine inspiration or intervention. I couldn't think of anything closer to hell than that, right? Everybody thinks it'd be a pit of fire. Austin Murphy says my dad's channel just got hit by YouTube. The live was banned. Yeah, exactly. My dad's channel is SSUM369 on Rumble. If you guys want to go catch the rest of his live, just so you know. Yeah, if he's still up on Rumble, that's a good thing. So he says, described as universal identification for commerce system, rich or poor, slave or free, no escape. Fast forward, digital ID, central bank digital currencies, and biometric tracking. The prophecy has evolved into tech, fingerprints, retinal scans, and now genomics. Let me tell you something. When we go over to Rumble, I'm going to show you guys my lunch break video he just came out with that I've been thinking the same thing that he put in this video, that they've had AI the whole time. Like this isn't something they invented. It was something that they were shown. And the reason that I say that, even though I know that sounds conspiratorial and I could never prove it, honestly, right? So I'm telling you it's my theory, but my theory is founded on some substantial facts I can prove. That in the law, just the very creation of the feudal system with William the Conqueror, and then the papal bull Unum Sanctum, Aeterni Regis Dum Diversus, and all of this stuff, building this trust network and then this worldwide trust indenture scheme throughout the 18 and 1900s, was all in preparation. The only way they could make this permanent, and the only way that they could make this, streamline this and actually get the fullest potential out of it, is if they had something like AI. And so it's almost like AI wasn't invented because of this system. It's almost like they made the system in preparation for AI. I'm not even kidding you. And I think it ties into the Mandela and everything else. It's all the stuff we're going to get into. It's all the stuff we're going to get into on Rumble. So William McLean says, I was like an hour behind on Sob stream. Why did he get taken down? Well, the same reason he usually gets taken down, William. He was pushing that envelope on YouTube, right? Yes, and Peg says, it's always amazed me who did this system of evil. I couldn't agree with you more. It's not human. It's not mankind. I hate the word human, but it's not mankind. Mankind's just the tool. No group of men, no group of men could have concocted this scheme or even came up with the concepts of trust or known how the trust would be binding spiritually, esoterically, like that which you bindeth on earth, I will bind in heaven. That which you loose on earth, I will loose in heaven. That's Matthew 16:19. And that's what they use to dodge their karmic repercussions, right? It's wild. And it's true. And they put it in your face right on the money. They tell you, in God we trust. Well, they're not talking about yet you trust God. They're talking about this trust is sanctioned by God. The 14th Amendment Citizenship Trust that they've created, this unincorporated banking association by using negotiable instruments, that's an implied, basically, trust body politic, is sanctioned by Scripture. Because it's not that it's God approves of it or that God wants it to happen, but it's that free will ability to contract your ass into a bad situation. And they tell you right on the Federal Reserve note says, "In God we trust," right at the top. And they're talking about the trust indenture. And they're basically saying, this is sanctioned. You're consenting to it, right? But it's also God is the way out too. When you learn, when you have a relationship with the Creator, you discover divine law. And you discover common law, and you discover that jurists all throughout history, the best ones, have all known that man cannot create law, right? Man can only regulate commerce and property under administration. That means property of incompetents, infants, paupers, right? Those are the only things they can make law, quote unquote, regarding. And it's not law, it's just administrative regulations. So man cannot make law. That's how this is the beast counterfeit system, trying to create a fake version of the original system, but under the control of these satanic bar pirates, right? That's a fact. So once you come to that understanding, it's very easy to see through the system once you have a relationship with the Creator and you can actually see the origin of authority. Look at the word authority, authority, right? The one who writes life into existence, that writes law into existence, and it's not human, it's not mankind, right? So, all right, and it says right here, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand. Now, let me just clarify for those of you who may not know me that well yet. I'm not a Bible thumper at all, but the Bible is true, so I'm not going to thump it. I don't believe that I have to shove it down your throat. I don't think any of that stuff, but I'm just pointing out the law and how it stems from the Bible. All trust law is biblical, and all law in general is biblical. Even communism is the ultimate, way extreme, polar other end of law, absolute tyranny under the rule of man. But it still has to start in common law because you have to get the initial contracts and get the initial people to come under you as property, and then you expand it. And then you make it permanent by removing relationship with Creator. Like, look at Chinese Communist Party. You can't just have a Bible over there. You got to have a CCP approved Bible, Chinese Communist Party approved Bible that's redacted and edited and all this stuff, right? So, and that's how they can keep people from being inspired with ideas of liberation. So, thank you. NREM says 24 watching, 8 likes. What the fuck, peeps? Right. Let's see here. We got Corbett says, however, with the Civil War raging on, April 22nd, 1864, Congress approved the legislation authorizing "In God We Trust" to be printed on 2-cent coin. Yeah, of course. Because the whole concept was they had this plan. This wasn't like, oh, hey, it'd be a good idea since we have the country in this situation. That's great. No, this was a methodical, meticulous, and long drawn out plan carried out over centuries to set up this network. And that's why I'm saying it was no group of men or women that came up with this idea. They were given this knowledge. They were led through multi-generations, right? Multiple generations. They were led to this knowledge and led to manifest it, given worldly riches and power in exchange for certain dark favors that you know, we'll get into that on Rumble because I'm not even, if they're shooting people down tonight, I'm not even going to risk it. But all right, why the XRP ledger? Because it's the only blockchain with the institutional grade speed, scalability, and neutrality to host such a global system. Ripple built corridors worldwide while the rest of crypto was distracted with meme coins. And like I said, the ledgers are private. They're the only blockchain, right? The only platform whose blockchain ledgers are completely private and unhackable. And they have to have that. They have to have that. All right. DNA protocol is onboarding medical labs and coding genomic identity onto XRPL. That's insane. I didn't know that. And issuing XDNA that link your biological source code to the ledger. And this is going to help Bill Gates' old patent 060606, where they can mine cryptocurrency using bodily activity. That's wild, huh? The prophecy said forehead and hand. Today, it's your DNA. BlackRock's ETF ticker, XDNA, was no accident. The elites are marking their blueprint. A corporate electronic, ETF, electronically transferred fund. Yeah, I think that's what that is. And TradFi, mirrored by a genomic anchoring protocol on XRPL. The mark is not a stamp. It's your biological identity anchored to the rails that you control. It's pretty wild. The prophecy warns no one can buy or sell. Translate without a genomic linked ID. You'll be excluded from the tokenized financial system. Imagine being unable to transact because your DNA profile isn't anchored on chain. Yeah, no shit. That's exactly what they're going to do. I mean, Walmart's already setting up stuff where it's behind glass and you have to scan to get into it, right? You got to scan something to get into it. Well, what do you think that's for? Right? Go ahead and swipe your hand or whatever the case may be. The nanotech that's circulating through your body is going to go ahead and activate and open it because, hey, you can buy and sell because you got this beast system integrated into your body. Your legal fiction has been integrated into your body, right? Yes, William. William says, starting to realize everything's tied to the Bible. Yeah, and it's pretty wild when I realized it too. I was like, imagine that. It's actually true. As fantastic as some of it sounds, it's actually true. And you know, what's funny is it really isn't fantastic. It's due to the translations and the way that they're translated. And it's not just the translations, but it's our common usage of the words that are used that, just like in law, are so much different than the actual meanings, right? So law is the most etymologically sound, like legal definitions. That's the most etymologically sound definition of any word. And I'll explain why, because it has to be binding. And in the beginning, there was the word, right? So it has to be binding. And so the definition of words in law, it's not like they change, and I'm talking about actual legal definitions, not statutory construction, but like we're talking about like common law definitions, Bouvier's dictionary, stuff like that. Because it has to mean what it always originally meant as it evolved throughout the ages in order to be binding, right? Unless they specifically define it as something else within a statute, that's not what I'm talking about. But your common usage, so they create these two streams of speaking, almost like splitting up the tongues, right? And one is common usage, or they pretty much think we sound like guttural pigs who don't know what we're saying when we speak. And then you've got the other stream, which is the etymologically sound usage, the King's English, which is what they use in law. And so that's why when people read law, they cannot understand what's being said, or they think it says something entirely different because they don't know what the words mean. The same thing with the Bible, right? So here's the duality. What looks like enslavement can also be liberation. XRP ledger is neutral. If controlled by the elites, it's the mark. If reclaimed by the people, it's the sword that cuts the beast grip, turning surveillance into transparency and accountability. Well, I've said that too. Like if AI could actually be used against the government to keep them accountable, is that likely? No, probably not. But I'm just saying it is a double-edged sword. It could be used either way. The book of Revelation wasn't warning of an inevitability. It was intel from the future. That's an interesting take on it too, because it almost seems like, right? We'll get into that. We are watching prophecy. Finance and genomics merge. The mark is being coded right now. Will you be enslaved by it or will you run from it? Well, this is exactly, I just wanted to show this because this is exactly what I've been telling you guys the last several streams. I'm like, this is what the mark is. This is what I think it is this the integration of the social security number, whatever it is in your country for like PEG and other, other people in other common law countries, right? Whatever kind of account number that they have linked to your trust that they've created for you, that number combined with some sort of nanotech to make it integrated with your body, combined with central bank digital currencies, combined with AI governance is going to be the entirety of the B system. That's going to be the entirety of the B system. Nicholson, 1969, has been talking about it for years, right? Used to sound crazy to me. I was like, man, this shit's kind of far-fetched, buddy. Now, not so much. Not so much at all. It's actually right on the ball with a lot of his stuff. So, all right, let's move on. I'm going to show you guys some stuff Corbett sent me, actually, in the chat. I appreciate it, but there's one video I want to play for you in particular. And it's called The Nature of Bondage by a book called The Overview of the World System of Bondage and Separation from Life. It's pretty cool. So let me pull this up. Telegram's going to get annoying on my computer, though. It's always bing, bing, bing. All right. Let's see. Can I show Telegram? Yeah, right there. Okay, cool. Now, the question is, will it play the audio? It should. You guys give me a 5x5 and let me know if it's playing the audio when I start playing this, okay? Can you guys hear that? Yeah, I'm going to have to turn off notifications for sure. Rocky Shepherd thinks that we're living in Satan's little season. Honestly, sometimes a lot of what I learn about the law lends some credence to that theory. It does. I can't say for sure either way. So, okay, hold on. I'm playing it now. Can you guys hear it? Can you hear that? No audio, huh? No audio? Okay. Well, that's going to throw a wrench in my damn plans if I can't play that. So let's try this. So I can't share. Also share tab audio. Yeah, no shit. To share audio, share a tab or screen instead. Huh. Interesting. Well, that's lame. All right. Well, I guess what I wanted to point out with that is basically uses the same analogy as I do to really understand what this system is. Okay. And I'm actually going to just show another thing anyways in a second, but to truly understand what this system is, you have to understand what negotiable instruments are, commercial paper, right? So say, and I use this as an analogy a lot, which is why it was cool you sent me that, Corbett, because he uses the same analogy. And say you're an Irishman or Irish woman in the 1700s, and you want to leave Ireland, and you want to come to the colonies, but you have no money. So you do always have something. You always have an estate. And your estate begins with your personality and your labor. Okay, so you can draw up a contract. And you say, I pledge 5 years of my productive value, my labor, in exchange for the value of a voyage to the colonies. And you go to a ship captain, you say, here, I got this contract. I'll pledge, and it is pledging, right? That's what it's the ancient system of pledging, mortgaging, dead pledging. I'll pledge my labor for 5 years in exchange for a voyage over to the colonies. And the ship captain, if he agrees, will sign it. And now you have commercial paper that represents the value of a voyage to the colonies and the value of 5 years of your labor, the same value, right? So once the ship captain gets, you head over across the sea to the colonies, and the ship captain uses your labor while you're on the ship. Say it's a 6-month voyage. When he gets to the colonies, he now has 4 years and 6 months left on this commercial paper. He can take that and go to a plantation owner and say, hey, I'll sell this to you. It's 4 years and 6 months left on this paper, okay, on this contract. And the plantation owner buys it. He becomes the holder in due course, right, and the bearer of that commercial paper. And now he has the benefit, he has the rights to your labor, your benefit, your right. So what happened when you created that contract is you pledged to put your labor, your property rights in trust. You pledged to put your estate in a trust. The corpus, the body of that trust, is your ability to work. Okay. Whoever holds that contract as the security interest holder, right, is the one who gets the beneficial use of your labor until that contract expires. Now, that plantation owner can take that same contract and go and say he can use it for a year. Now there's 3 years and 6 months, and he can turn around and sell it to another plantation owner. And that other plantation owner becomes the holder in due course, that commercial paper. That's the same thing they did here. They mortgaged the estates of the 14th Amendment citizens, and they did it everywhere. No matter what country you're in, that's what they've done. They used our country to start the model, and then they standardized it across the world by making the Federal Reserve note the global reserve currency. Okay. And that's what they've done. They've pledged your labor, your productive value, in exchange for the Federal Reserve note. So loans from the Federal Reserve, right? Except there is no 5 years. There is no end date to this, right? So in the case of the indenture, the Irishman or woman, right, anything that he labors towards, he cannot have property, he cannot labor towards anything, right, and keep it, because the holder of that contract has the first right to all the fruits of his labor. Well, it's the same now. The creditors, the lenders, have the first rights to the fruits of your labor. That's why they take their cut right out of your check before you even get it, right out of your payroll before you even get it. We got first rights because you've been mortgaged, right? And there is no end date. Now, because of the perpetuity, the nature of perpetuity that this agreement has, right? They can generate as many securities off the original securities as they want ad infinitum, as long as they can create an attachment to your trust corpus via the social securities number, driver's license number, or whatever, right? Then they can generate more of this commercial paper by placing obligations on you and then selling the bond or tickets or coupons or whatever it is, prison bond, doesn't matter. Right. And then they sell it to institutional investors. Those institutional investors are the ones who are going to use XRP. That's who they want. All of that stuff, their institution, they want it to be hidden and unhackable so nobody can uncover it and expose it. Right. So Peg's Place says Australia was a penal colony and still is by the corrupt. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is. Yes, for sure. Ricky Shepard, to see another perspective that integrates politics, history, and Bible, see Dance of Life podcast channel. Start with End Time series. Well, I've never heard of them, but that's cool. So, all right, I want to show you guys this now. Let's see. Got it. Oh, no, never mind. We're going to have to go to Rumble for that. Oh, all right, let's have a little laugh before we head over to Rumble. We're about to head there in just a couple minutes. Yeah, we're going to do that. So check this out. This is dailymail.uk, right? Or wherever it's at. China develops the world's first pregnancy robot that's capable of giving birth to a live baby. Dude, it's the Matrix. It's the Matrix. It's literally just like the fucking movie. It makes you wonder if it was imaginative storytelling or predictive programming. I'm of the opinion it was the latter. But look at this, dude. So, and women, if you do not realize that they are absolutely trying to phase you out, women specifically, and I have my own theories on why. One of the theory I have is, the word for woman when God caused Adam to fall under a deep sleep and then took one of his ribs and made woman, it's a helpmate, and it's the same word as is used for Holy Spirit in the concordance, right? So the woman And that's why you hear the church, either the church is the bride of Christ or the government, whore of Babylon. Those are the two sides of the feminine aspect of government and religion, right? So the two sides of the coin, but they are at war with women. That was what the last 5 years was all about. That's what letting boys playing girls sports and all that stuff. It's all an attack on women, right? And this right here is trying to make women obsolete. Now, yeah, we're going to have to go to Rumble before I can really even talk about a whole lot of this other stuff. But here's the last thing I'm going to show you, and then we're about to head over to Rumble. So if you guys are not already over there, go ahead and find the link in the description, click it, and head on over there. And I'm going to shut this down right after I show this on YouTube. Whoa, not that. We don't want to show that yet. All right. Did you guys know there's a hostile alien spaceship hurtling towards Earth? Here's the proof. And see that little rainbow colored band speck there that is indistinguished? But that's proof. That's what they call proof right there. Yeah, they proved it, that it's heading this way. But the reason I wanted to show this is look how nobody's buying this. Was just a suggested post, right? And normal people are commenting on it. It's not like it's one of my posts or somebody like that. And look at what these people are saying. Answer one question. Who told you it was hostile? So we're being prepped for Project Bluebeam. Finally, the aliens are coming, probably carrying. Yeah, though I do hope they say, take me to your leader. The rainbow flag they're flying definitely proves hostility. That one's funny. It's the return of everyone's dads who went to the shop and didn't come back. That's fucked up. It's pretty funny, though. Man-made spaceships. Humanity knows this game's being played by people running the world are playing. That wasn't very well written, but the concept holds up, right? On their way to Britain for their benefits. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, and that's kind of what I encapsulated in that short I made today was, that's how they set up this system, right? So they mortgage everybody's estates in order to place everybody under administration, create the welfare state, right? And then once they had the welfare state created, then they started flooding the country with immigrants, offering benefits, food, housing, all this stuff, right? To be paid for by the mortgage of your estate, right? And then the real goal of funneling all these people in here is to replace the native populations, right, with these dependent populations that are going to be subservient to the government and do whatever the government wants in exchange for benefits. And another reason is because they do not have a birthright they have no birthright to the sovereignty that the people of common law countries have, right? So they're from these Middle Eastern countries, the Sharia law countries, right? So whatever, that's their right to have their law and that's their religion. That's fine. That's cool, right? That's where it comes from. But they keep it over there because it's incompatible with our society, with our Western ideals and culture and the way that our law is set up. It's just incompatible. So, but nevertheless, they're still poor England, and I don't know how Australia is faring, but I know Canada got hit pretty hard. England, Ireland, France, right? All those European countries. So anyway, before I get this channel struck, let me go ahead and shut down YouTube. If you guys have not went over to Rumble already, please do. And I'm going to see you guys over there. All right, so I think we remove it. I haven't really shut down YouTube on StreamYard too many times, so let's see if we can do this right.